Incredible twist, homeless black girl discovers hidden power, saves billionaire's son transforms. Layla stood at the edge of the crumbling shelter, watching the fleeting shadows of the evening sun wrap around the bricks of her makeshift home. The world buzzed around her with a deafening roar, each honk and shout reminding her of uncertainty. But today, her heart swelled with an unshakable hope. Jamal, her mischievous younger brother, clutched an empty ice cream container, his face smeared with remnants of the last few dregs. They had only had half a scoop, but he wore a grin like it was the richest treat. "Layla. Let's pretend we're with the ice cream man again." He laughed. Her heart tightened a moment of joy in their fragile world. Each morning, Layla woke to an endless cycle of worry, piecing together meals with love and borrowed kindness. They survived on whispers of assistance from community members and small miracles, like the stray cat that curled up next to them for warmth or the lady who occasionally slipped them a few coins. But today was different. At the community center, she met Cole, the kid who lived in the tower blocks shimmering in the distance, far away from the gritty sidewalks of her reality. Their friendship bloomed from unlikely moments, Cole's laughter echoing as he tried to teach Jamal how to throw a baseball, Layla explaining the ins and outs of her world with each shared joke. Just when it felt like magic was blossoming, chaos erupted. The charity run laid out in front of them, meant to bridge divides, became their battleground. Layla was proud to help organize it despite the glaring contrasts of their worlds around her. She ran beside Cole, their laughs rising in the air, but an unexpected commotion scattered participants like leaves in the wind. It was then that Cole vanished. Panic gripped Layla. The streets, once familiar, now felt daunting. She dove into the urban maze, her heart thudding. "Cole!" She called into the hollow sounds of the city, her breaths coming quick with desperation. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Layla's mind world. She used her street smarts, weaving through alleyways and dodging the chaos, feeling the pulse of the city beneath her feet. Fear clutched her stomach, but with each step, she felt a flicker of courage ignite. Community members saw her determination, whispers of support trailing behind her through the garbage-littered streets. Layla found herself pushing past doubt, a rising tide of grit propelling her forward. Just as the sun dipped below the skyline, casting the city in a moody hue, she spotted him, Cole, trapped in a darkened corner, confusion clouding his eyes. In that moment filled with raw emotion, the truth unfolded. Layla's actions sparked something greater, a viral sensation on social media, igniting conversations about privilege and justice, shining a light on hidden strengths within her community. Both families were forced to confront their roles, biases stretching thin against Layla's fiery resilience. Standing at the community center, she felt the buzzing energy of messages flowing in, but her heart was heavy. Could compassion truly lead to mutual change? Would love and understanding penetrate the barriers of class and race? An unresolved tension hung in the air, a monumental shift looming on the horizon. As night fell, Layla gazed at the city skyline, and she wondered how far their intertwining stories would stretch beyond the streets she called home. Layla awoke the next morning to a cacophony of city sounds, honking horns, chattering voices, and the familiar call of street vendors. The tension from the previous day hadn't faded, it lingered, pressing against her chest. Today, she needed to do more than just exist. Layla wanted to take action, to harness the energy of the viral attention and turn it into something meaningful. "Jamal, wake up." She spat, her voice sharp yet laced with determination. The morning sun streamed through the cracks of their makeshift home, illuminating the dust motes dancing in the air. Jamal groaned, rubbing his sleepy eyes, but his smile grew when he saw her fierce expression. "What are we doing today?" "Today, we rise," Layla declared, straightening her back. She explained her plan, to gather their neighbors and create a conversation circle at the community center, inspired by the growing chatter online. They needed to be the voice for those who felt silenced, to turn the wave of attention into momentum for change. With the day still fresh, they ventured into the streets. The vibrant energy of the community pulsed around them, residents exchanging greetings and laughter, a stark contrast to the weight pressing on Layla. She felt the need to channel their shared experiences into the meeting. Each interaction, each friendly connection they made fueled her resolve. As they arrived at the community center, the familiar faces were waiting, some curious, some skeptical. Layla stood up, heart racing. "Thank you all for coming," she began, her voice shaky but growing steadier with every word. "This is our chance to make our stories known. We can't let this momentum die." One by one, people began sharing. They spoke of struggles, of perseverance. A woman named Mrs. Hill recounted her fight against eviction, her eyes sparkling with defiance. A teenager named Malik described his passion for art and his dream of showcasing it despite the lack of resources. As each story unfolded, a powerful energy filled the room, connecting them in a shared purpose. As the meeting progressed, Layla was reminded why she had put herself on the line for the charity run. This community meant everything to her. Their values, strength, resilience, love were roots that reached deep into the ground beneath her feet, anchoring her as she vibrated with energy from the stories being told. But just as positivity swelled, an urgent voice shattered the atmosphere. It was Cole's father. "This is nonsense," he erupted, his tone a harsh contrast to the heartfelt sharing. "You're all just looking for handouts. My son was influenced by you." Heat rose inside Layla's chest. How dare he belittle their struggles? She stepped forward, feeling the defiance bubbling at the pit of her stomach. "That's not true. We're fighting for our lives. You don't know what we've faced." The room fell silent, tension coiling like a taut wire. Cole watched, his expression a mixture of concern and admiration. He stepped in. "Mr. Lawson, maybe you're missing the point. We may not have the same experiences, but we can still learn from each other." Layla's gaze locked onto Cole's, and for a brief moment, the air hummed with potential. Could they really bridge the chasm between their worlds? But as the meeting continued, doubt crept back in. Was the connection strong enough to break through the systemic divides? That night, Layla sat with Jamal on their porch, watching the stars shimmer above, still tethered by her worries. Could one meeting truly change anything? Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new voices would emerge, and the question hung heavy in her mind. What if this was just the beginning? What if their stories became a catalyst for real change? As streetlights flickered to life, she whispered to the stars, hoping for a sign. Would they rise together against the tides of injustice, or would their light flicker out before it truly began? The night felt charged with possibility, but deep uncertainty loomed. How far were they really willing to go? The next morning arrived cloaked in heavy clouds, as if the sky was mirroring Layla's own uncertainty. She sat at the kitchen table, a cup of lukewarm coffee in front of her, staring into the swirling liquid, her mind a whirlwind of thoughts. Jamal sat across from her, absorbed in his phone, flipping through notifications, his fingers moving rapidly. "Did you see how many people are talking about last night?" he asked, breaking the silence. "It's like a wildfire. Everyone's buzzing." Layla nodded, forcing a smile. "That's good, right? We need to keep the momentum going." But deep down, she felt a gnawing fear that the energy sparked from their meeting might fizzle out. What if it burned bright for a moment and then dimmed, leaving nothing behind? They both got ready, excitement coiling like a spring in Jamal's chest, but for Layla, the anticipation felt heavy. They headed to the community center again, determined to harness that energy. As they walked, they felt the pulse of the city around them. Street vendors were setting up, children played in the small park, laughter puncturing the morning air like a bright note against her anxious thoughts. Inside the center, conversations buzzed like a hive of bees. The room filled quickly, more people had shown up than she expected. Their faces were a sea of hope, frustration, and determination. Layla felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. This was their space, a space for stories, for empowerment. Today, she planned to invite new voices. Let us hear from those who weren't here last night. She called out, her voice growing stronger. A young woman named Amina stood up. Her frail frame shook slightly as she spoke. I lost my job last month. But I also lost my will to fight until I heard you all. I want to stand up for my community. Tears pricked Layla's eyes. It was exactly what she needed to hear, another reminder that they all faced their own battles but could find strength together. As Amina shared her story, threats of anger and jealousy from outside began to edge into the atmosphere like an unwelcome shadow. Layla caught sight of Mr. Lawson through the window, standing with a group of his friends, their expressions taut with disdain. They pointed and laughed, whispering thickly like a creeping fog creeping into the light gathering inside. Layla's stomach flipped. Fear tightened her throat. They were being watched and judged. She could feel their skepticism suffocating what was supposed to be a safe haven. Pay no attention to them. She called out with defiance, affecting a mission for them all. We know what we deserve, and we won. Back down. The room erupted into applause and supportive shouts. But deep down, Layla worried if their newfound strength was enough. Would it hold against the sneers from outside, against the looming dominance of those who dismissed their struggles as trivial? Then Cole stepped forward, his face flushed with urgency. If we truly want to make a change, we need to expand our voice, connect to a larger audience. There are people who will listen. His words resonated with the crowd, sparking ideas and energy. They began brainstorming ways to reach out, but Layla felt a flicker of doubt. What if they stumbled when they reached beyond their own circle? As the conversation grew louder, she suddenly caught a glimmer of something brilliantly unexpected, a chance meeting that could change everything. Her gaze darted toward Cole, who was actively engaging with others. They needed the support of those who lived different realities but shared common dreams. Then, an idea sparked in her mind. What if we hosted a gathering on social media? Everyone outside could see how powerful we are together. Would it be enough to cross barriers and truly rally their community around them? As questions surged through her thoughts, she made a silent pledge to herself, taking a deep breath of resolve. While the laughter and ideas flew around her, one undeniable truth settled in her heart. They had begun to rise. But Layla knew the hardest battles were still ahead, and doubts crept closer to the surface. What could they achieve if they pushed past their fears, reaching out into the world that often felt hostile? The meeting left her both energized and apprehensive. The question loomed large: could their voices truly be powerful enough to inspire the change they sought? Would the energy spark like kindling into a magnificent blaze, or fizzle out just when they needed it most? As the room vibrated with newfound hope and resolve, Layla felt the weight of uncharted possibilities press against her. What would it take to transform those fears into fuel for action? The energy in the room surged as Layla's idea hung in the air, shimmering like the promise of dawn. Conversations morphed into excited discussions, voices rising with an electricity that seemed to crackle, igniting a fire in the hearts of everyone present. Jamal moved closer, eyes sparkling as he caught Layla's gaze. This is it. We can do it, he said, his enthusiasm spilling over. We'll set a date for the online gathering and spread the word. Everyone deserves to be heard. Amina, still buzzing from her moment of courage, chimed in. We could use hashtags. Make it viral. People want to connect. They just need a reason. Layla's heart raced. She could almost feel the momentum of the movement pushing through her veins. Ideas were flying: FM broadcasts, shared stories, and videos of their struggles and triumphs. It was everything she had dreamed of, each suggestion pulling the community tighter while casting the concerns of outsiders further away. But as they brainstormed, a familiar voice cut through the noise. It was Mr. Lawson, still loitering outside with his crowd, no doubt leaning on their disdain to fuel their mockery. "Is this what you call progress?" he shouted through the glass, leaning menacingly against the building's outer wall. "This isn't going to change anything. Just a bunch of noise." A thick silence fell over the room, and Layla felt her stomach drop. They were only just finding their voice, and here was a reminder of the barrier they were up against. "Ignore him." Layla's voice emerged stronger than she felt. "This is about us, the community. We've already taken one step forward. We have to keep moving." With each word, she forced back a wave of doubt. Wasn't that the truth? They couldn't let outside hate dictate their destiny. They had fought for their space, and no one could extinguish the fire they were igniting. A powerful silence turned into applause. Encouraged, Amina raised her hand again, her trembling now replaced with determination. "Let us go live today. It doesn't have to be perfect, just us sharing our stories." "Yes!" someone from the back shouted, followed by a chorus of agreement. Layla's heart swelled. This was not just a gathering but a shift, a transformation of fear into strength. They were forming a shield against negativity, and suddenly it didn't matter if that shield was new or rough around the edges. What mattered was it was theirs. As people began to organize and plan their stories and experiences, Layla's mind raced ahead to the possibilities of a wider audience. Would they connect with others who had gone through similar experiences? Would their voices resonate beyond these walls? But beneath the excitement, her fear lingered stubbornly. What if the online world was just as hostile as the streets? What if exposing themselves led to more ridicule? Would they be able to endure the backlash that was bound to come? As she met Cole's eyes again, she saw a quiet resolve mirrored back at her. They would face it together. Whatever was out there among the shadows wouldn't matter if they stood united. Just when her heart began to lift, her phone buzzed, pulling her attention away. It was a message from an unknown number. A chill ran through her as she opened it, a single line sparking nerves she had tried to forget. "I know what you're planning and it's not going to end well." A pit formed in her stomach. Was this a threat they had to take seriously? She shared the text with Jamal and Cole, their faces tightening in an instant. Determination morphed into worry as the clock ticked away. The path ahead loomed darker than ever, threaded with uncertainty and fear. Could they truly muster the courage to rise against those who sought to silence them? With the upcoming online gathering now hanging like a precipice before them, the stakes felt higher than ever. In that crowded space filled with hope, Layla pondered the looming question: would they rise together or fall apart? Layla felt her heart race as the message echoed in her mind. "It's not going to end well." The words were like a dark cloud hanging over her newfound hope. She looked around the room. The energy that had surged moments ago now felt taut, as if everyone could sense the tension threatening to unravel their dreams. "Focus, everyone," Layla said, trying to bring back the positivity. "We have a plan. We can't let this get to us. We are doing this for each other." But as she spoke, doubt crept back in. What if that message was a warning? She scanned the faces, each one filled with equal parts excitement and fear. Jamal stepped closer. "Layla, maybe we should rethink this. What if this guy's really serious?" "It's easy to say ignore him when you're not the one in danger." His words hung between them. "It's not just about us anymore, though," Amina interjected, her voice shaking but earnest. "We can't stop now. We've come too far and inspired others already." A few heads nodded in agreement, but Layla sensed the hesitance within the group. "I don't want anyone to feel unsafe," Cole said, his expression gentle but firm. But we also cannot let fear dictate what we do. We're stronger together. Layla smiled faintly. Cole's words acted like a balm on her anxiety. They had faced challenges before, this was just another one, right? Yet the weight of the unknown clung to her. An idea sparked in her mind. What if we used Mr. Lawson's words against him? We can address the fear head-on, tell our stories of overcoming. Show that we won. Back down. A hesitant murmur ran through the group. What if he comes for us? Someone chimed in, eyes wide. If we're going to stand together, we need to be visible, Layla insisted. We can't let shadows scare us away. Slowly but surely, the mood in the room began to shift. Inspired by Layla's conviction, Amina tossed out ideas for hashtags and taglines. Jamal grabbed a nearby dry erase board and wrote down their collective aspirations. It's not just about sharing stories, it's about creating a movement. Determination rose within Layla, overshadowing her fears. Yet, as she organized them into groups, assigning tasks and responsibilities, unease pricked her thoughts. If the gathering was to be a success, how could they protect themselves? There were trolls online, she had seen them tear down others before. Time slipped by, blending excitement and anxiety. One by one, the group put their stories to paper, rehearsing them with trembling voices but growing stronger with each practice. Layla felt a flood of relief mixed with hope. Maybe they could make a difference together. Suddenly, Jamal's phone buzzed loudly, breaking the flow. Concern flashed across his face as he glanced at the screen. It's a message from my sister. She says Mr. Lawson is trying to rally people against us. They've got plans for tomorrow night. A wave of panic surged through the room as eyes widened in shock. What do we do? Someone asked, holding tightly to their notepad. Layla inhaled deeply, realization dawning on her. They couldn't retreat. Tomorrow would be a test of their resolve, a test of their unity. We prepare, she said, her voice steady. If they want to make this a fight, let us show them we're brave enough to stand. The group rallied behind her, adrenaline coursing through them as they began to strategize. But beneath it all loomed the chilling truth of the message from the unknown number. As they worked into the night, each bold decision brought them closer. Layla's purpose burned bright. This gathering wasn't only their voices being heard, it was about facing down the darkness that threatened to smother them. Yet, a whisper in her mind wouldn't quiet. They were stepping into a storm. What awaited them tomorrow? With new resolve, Layla clenched her fists. She wouldn't let fear win. The clock ticked ominously. Tomorrow would bring clarity or chaos. Would they emerge stronger, or would they fracture under pressure? As hope and trepidation collided, Layla braced herself for whatever lay ahead. The morning sun crawled cautiously into the room, light pooling on the floor like hope itself. Layla rubbed her eyes, her mind still tangled in the night's work. She had stayed up late, restless, going over every detail of their plan. The gathering for tonight would either be a breakthrough or a battle. She could feel the weight of it pressing down on her shoulders. Jamal, already awake, was pacing back and forth. "Did you sleep at all?" he asked, concern etched on his face. Layla shook her head. "I couldn't. I kept thinking about what could happen. What if those people show up? What if they don't get what we're trying to do?" Jamal sighed, the sound heavy with the tension that had settled in the room. "We can't let fear take over, Layla. We're doing something important here." His words sparked a tiny flame within her. Maybe Jamal was right. Fear could either paralyze them or push them to fight harder. She chose the latter. Together they made their way to the community center where their gathering would take place. The streets were unusually quiet, as if the world held its breath. Layla could feel her heart thumping in her chest, each beat echoing her resolve. As they arrived, the sight of the center brought back memories of laughter, gatherings, and friendships forged. This place was not just a venue, it was a sanctuary from the chaos of the outside world. When Amina and Cole arrived, they greeted each other with nervous smiles, their excitement barely contained. "We need to set up the main stage and do a sound check," Amina reminded everyone, pointing to the equipment stacked in the corner. Layla nodded vigorously, energizing the group with her positivity. "We'll make this a moment they can't ignore," Layla announced, and for a moment, everyone was on board again, caught up in her enthusiasm. Hours passed in a flurry of activity, adrenaline pumping through their veins. As the sun began to dip, casting long shadows across the room, Layla looked around. People were taking their seats, faces painted with curiosity and uncertainty. Then the door swung open, and a hush fell over the crowd. Layla's breath caught in her throat as Mr. Lawson strode in, flanked by a group that looked like they had walked straight off a rivalry team. Tension thickened in the air. Layla's heart sank. They were here. "Looks like they decided to show up," Cole whispered next to her. Layla gathered her courage. "Stay strong. We won't back down." As Mr. Lawson stepped forward, Layla felt the urge to shrink back, but she stood her ground, fueled by the undeniable power of their cause. "Tonight is not just for you," he said loudly, his voice booming over the murmurs, "but against you. We won't let this movement grow." The crowd gasped, and Layla's stomach twisted in knots. This was it. The moment of truth was upon them. Determined, Layla took a deep breath, and stepped toward the microphone. "What you don't understand, Mr. Lawson, is that fear can't silence voices that are ready to be heard." As she spoke, a sense of unity enveloped the room, whispers turned to cheers, and Layla felt the collective hope wash over her like a wave. But the unexpected happened before she could finish. The audience erupted into a clamor, drowning her words. Someone in the back shouted, "Are we going to let him dictate our lives?" Their unity reached a fever pitch. Just then, an unexpected figure emerged from the shadows, raising a hand. Layla squinted, unsure of who it was, but she recognized that look, the unwavering sparkle of determination. Realization struck her like lightning. Who was stepping forward now, and what could they add to this moment? Caught between a battle and the promise of solidarity, Layla felt the electric charge in the air. She was ready to rise, but she knew this was just the beginning. What would it take to turn the tide once and for all? With the crowd surging around her, Layla's heart raced. The figure stepping forward belonged to Maya, a girl from the neighborhood whose presence often went unnoticed. Now, she stood tall, her dark hair framing her determined face. Layla felt a rush of hope wash over her at the sight of Maya. "What we need is change, right here, right now," Maya shouted, her voice breaking through the chaos. The room fell silent again, heads turning toward her. "Not just talk. We need action." Layla's breath caught as Maya continued, her passion igniting the crowd. "We have voices. We are strong. They want to silence us, but we won't let that happen." The energy shifted, growing fierce and potent. It was as if Maya's words struck a chord in everyone's hearts, each person feeling the power of unity surge through them. Layla felt the adrenaline kicking in, her spirit feeding off Maya's confidence. Mr. Lawson scowled, his expression darkening. "You think this will change anything?" he challenged, attempting to regain control. "You're just children with dreams, with lives. We're not just statistics." Maya shot back, her voice steady and firm. The audience buzzed with approval, a wave of murmurs rising like a tide. Layla leaned toward the microphone again, emboldened by Maya's stand. "Tonight, we're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for those who can't have a voice. We're fighting for families who struggle and for future generations." Amina and Cole chimed in, raising their fists in solidarity as the crowd began to chant, "Voices United." They repeated it, the phrase echoing through the community center like a battle cry. The atmosphere transformed. Gone was the despair. In its place stood hope and fierce determination. Layla glanced at Jamal, who shot her an encouraging nod. They both knew this was a tipping point, even if they didn't know how it would unfold. Layla turned back to Mr. Lawson, who seemed to shrink under the weight of their resolve. "You may think you can intimidate us, but we will not be silenced," she said fiercely. "We are here to create change, and that change begins with us." The crowd erupted. Cheers erupted from every corner, and Layla felt tears of fierce pride well in her eyes. They weren't backing down. But just as everything seemed to align in their favor, a police officer appeared at the door, his presence overshadowing the jubilant atmosphere. "Sir, we've received complaints about a disturbance," he said, scanning the room. His eyes locked onto Mr. Lawson, and suddenly the energy shifted again. This was a threat they hadn't anticipated. Layla's heart dropped. What now? She thought, desperation creeping in. Would this officer take their voices? Would they be dismissed yet again? Maya stepped forward, undeterred by the interruption. "This isn't a disturbance," she exclaimed, her tone unwavering. "This is our right. We are standing up for our community, and we're not going anywhere." As the officer shifted his gaze from Mr. Lawson to Maya, Layla felt the tension in the air tingle like static electricity. Would this officer recognize their fight? Would he stand with them or against them? With every heartbeat, Layla felt a decision hanging in the air, one that could change everything. Whatever happened next could either ignite their passion further or threaten to extinguish their fire completely. What choice would the officer make in this pivotal moment? Would he see the strength in their voices? Would he stand with them, or would he choose to suppress their movement? The officer hesitated, a flicker of uncertainty dancing in his eyes. He looked at the crowd, young faces filled with determination and fire. His brows furrowed, as if weighing the weight of their unyielding spirit against the expectations tied to his badge. Layla held her breath, feeling an entire world resting on this moment. "Stand down, everyone," he said finally, his voice echoing through the hall. "I'm just here to talk." A collective sigh of relief swept through the crowd. Maya stepped closer to the officer, an intensity radiating from her. "You see what we're fighting for, right? It's not just noise. These are lives, dreams, futures." The officer nodded slowly, the hard line of his mouth softening slightly. "I get that, but you can't shout loud enough to drown out the fears of others. People are scared. Then let us show them there's nothing to fear." Amina interjected, her voice rich with passion. She stepped forward, looking directly into the officer's eyes, her resolve palpable. "We just want a chance to be heard, to be understood. This is our chance to create change." Layla felt a rush of solidarity with her friends. Each voice added to the tide, their determination seemed to push against the officer's cautious demeanor. Spirited whispers flowed through the crowd, faces turning from anxiousness to hope as they leaned in unison, united and determined. All right, the officer conceded, glancing around the room. "How about this? I'll listen. You all can have your say, but keep it respectful. We need to keep things calm." His words ignited a spark in Layla's heart. They were being heard. This man understood their fight at least partially. Slowly, the chatter of anticipation filled the center again, its rhythm like a soothing balm against the earlier tension. Maya took a step back and gestured for Layla to join her at the front. "We'll start with council members first, but I think Layla should have a turn. She has a powerful story." Layla's heart raced again, tighter now with a mix of pride and fear. She hadn't planned on speaking, but Maya's faith bolstered her courage. "Me? Okay." She stepped up to the microphone, her friend's eyes encouraging her from behind. "Hi, everyone. My name is Layla. I grew up here, just like many of you. I see the struggles, the pain, the injustice." Her voice trembled slightly, but she pressed on. "We all have dreams. I dream about a community where we can thrive, not just survive. We deserve to feel safe, heard, and valued. The crowd erupted again, clapping and cheering, their energy infectious. Tears prickled at the corners of Layla's eyes as gratitude washed over her. Suddenly, a shout broke through the noise. A voice, loud and salty with anger. "You all think your words mean something? Look where you are." It was Mr. Lawson, red-faced and furious, standing abruptly from his seat. "This is a waste of time. You're just kids." "Please, sir." Maya called back, her voice steady. "We have a right to be here. You might disregard us, but we matter." The tension thickened again like a fog. The officer looked at Mr. Lawson and then back at the crowd, his eyes brimmed with conflict. "I want everyone to feel like they can be part of this conversation," he stated carefully. But Layla wondered, would Mr. Lawson ever see them as more than a distraction, or would his contempt overshadow their efforts? The moment felt fragile. Everything balanced on a knife's edge. Would the officer's presence become a catalyst for connection or conflict? The anticipation hung heavily in the air, a collective heartbeat echoing against the stillness. Would they find a way to bridge their differences, or would this just lead to even more division? Layla could hear her heart pounding, louder now than the applause that had just erupted. She glanced at her friends, their faces a mix of pride and worry. Maya stood ready to take the microphone again, but Layla couldn't shake the weight of Mr. Lawson's scornful gaze. He was a wall, and right now, they were the gentle breeze pushing against it, but how much could they really move it? The officer cleared his throat, trying to regain control. "Let us hear some more voices. Who wants to speak next?" One by one, volunteers stepped forward. Each story carried a piece of their shared struggle, the stories of losing a job, of being bullied at school, of families being torn apart by decisions made far away from their homes. Each tale echoed in the hall, threading a tapestry of pain and resilience. Yet, through it all, Layla's gaze drifted back to Mr. Lawson. As another young man shared his experience, Layla noticed how his eyes flicked dismissively toward the crowd. A new wave of determination washed over her. She could feel it, she had to do more than just speak. They needed to strike a chord, something that would resonate with someone like him. "Excuse me," she called, surprising even herself. The room hushed, all eyes on her. "Mr. Lawson, can I speak to you?" The moment hung expectantly in the air, and all heads turned to the man who held authority like an ironic crown. The officer hesitated, unsure whether to intervene, but through Layla's determined eyes, he saw courage. Mr. Lawson raised an eyebrow, his demeanor shifting from anger to curiosity. "What do you want?" She swallowed hard. "I want you to see us as people. Just like you. We might be kids, but we are more than just a nuisance. We have hope, dreams, and yes, even fears, just like everyone here. I grew up in this neighborhood, and I'm scared too. But I believe we can be better for us, for you, for everyone." The room fell silent again. Layla felt a shift, the air felt charged with something new, a small spark igniting. She continued, her voice steadying with each word. "Listen, we're not just here to take up space. We want to build a future where we're working together. Instead of looking down on us, what if you could help us? What if you could be a part of this change?" Mr. Lawson's expression softened slightly. For a heartbeat, it seemed as if he was considering her words, weighing their importance against his cynical views. Then, from the back of the room, an unexpected voice chimed in. "Yeah. We all just want to feel like we belong." It was older man, someone she'd seen around but never really talked to. "Life isn't easy for anyone here. You're right, Layla. We can't fight alone." That plea sent a ripple through the crowd, warming their spirits. The applause surged again, louder this time, infused with a fresh sense of unity. For the first time, there was a crack forming in Mr. Lawson's steely facade. He straightened up, leaning into the microphone, okay, let us talk. Perhaps I've been too harsh. What? Layla blinked in disbelief. Could he really be open to change? But just as hope blossomed, someone in the back shouted, "What does he know about us anyway?" It was a spark that fueled the tension anew, challenging Mr. Lawson's tentative acknowledgement. "Yes, what do you know?" came another voice, rising like a wave against the tide of possibility. Layla's stomach knotted. The air again thickened with uncertainty. Would Mr. Lawson retreat behind his walls, or had something truly shifted today? In this moment of fragile truth, Layla wondered, could one conversation actually lead to real change, or would it dissolve among the doubts and voices of discontent? In that charged moment, Layla's heart hammered in her chest. She sensed everyone leaning in, waiting. Waiting for change, waiting for someone to shatter the silence. "Look," Layla spoke up, gathering her courage. "We all come from different places. Yes, there are struggles and fears. But isn't there a chance to learn from one another?" Mr. Lawson's expression flickered. His defenses began to crack under the pressure of hundreds of hopeful eyes. The crowd hushed again, hanging on to each word. "You know, I've never seen the world through your eyes. I've only seen my own. I've always been, well, sheltered." A murmur rolled through the audience. Layla quickly grasped this was their chance. "But you can change that. We are here. We have stories to tell, experiences to share. Help us be heard. You can be part of this, Mr. Lawson." He hesitated, and just there, with that moment of silence, something shifted. The tense air hung thick, but the lightened weight of his finding compassion seeped through like the sun breaking the clouds. Someone in the back called out, "We'll support you too." Other voices joined, promising connection and solidarity. The community thrummed with newfound strength. They were all in this fight together. Mr. Lawson nodded slowly, a hint of resignation in his posture. "Maybe it takes a few kids to wake the rest of us up. I can't promise anything," he said, his voice less confrontational. "But I'm willing to listen, to learn. And if you'll let me, I'll share your stories with others." Excitement rippled through everyone. "Yes!" Maya yelled, her voice ringing hopeful. The officer looked impressed too. "You're right, Mr. Lawson. It takes collaboration to drive change. Let us talk further." They spent the next few hours engaged in passionate dialogue, sharing fears and aspirations, confronting biases, and searching for solutions together. Each voice added to the tapestry of hope hanging in the air. Every doubt that Layla felt ebbed away as the community iterated back and forth with understanding, laughter, and the occasional tear. When it came time to close the gathering, Layla stood at the front, taking a deep breath. "Thank you, everyone. Today is just a beginning. We've taken our first steps, side by side. Let us keep this alive, our stories matter. Let us make our voices be heard, together." Applause erupted, loud and infectious, hitting walls and exploding outwards. Layla felt tears streak her cheeks, but they were not of sorrow. They were of gratitude and relief. As she looked around, she realized something significant had changed, and all it had taken was for everyone to start believing in the power of their shared stories. Days turned into weeks, and the movement spread like wildfire. The online gathering became a regular event, uniting people online and in the community who had never before connected. They rallied together, organized resources, and learned to network effectively. Layla felt the supportive threads weaving tighter among families as concerns became less about fear and more about collaboration. Jamal even started to help organize events aimed at uniting younger voices. And just like that, Layla's world transformed. Through community-driven projects, they turned old lots into vibrant gardens. They held workshops about job training and financial literacy. Each success was a triumphant step toward healing the rifts within their neighborhood. New relationships blossomed, and differences became strengths instead of walls. Even Mr. Lawson became an unexpected ally, attending events and lending his influence to create awareness about their struggles. People began to see him as more than just a wealthy businessman. He became an advocate for their cause, one whose perspective shifted in response to their courage and resilience. On a warm afternoon, Layla stood at the community park, watching children play amidst the flowers blooming in once abandoned spaces. A sensation of warmth enveloped her heart. She felt a sense of belonging, unity, and strength within everyone around her. That fragile voice she had first discovered in the depths of uncertainty now rang clear, buoyed by the hope they had all ignited together. The battles hadn't all been won, and there would always be challenges ahead. But now, no one faced them alone. As she turned to leave, Jamal came running up. "Did you see how many people showed up for the festival?" he shouted with glee. Her heart swelled with pride. "Yes. We did this, Jamal. We're just getting started." And in that moment, she realized how far they'd come. Together, they would rise hearts full, voices strong, and their stories echoing like a chorus of hope into the future. This is the end of one chapter, but just the beginning of many more. Now, you need to subscribe immediately to not miss the next exclusive stories that will lift your spirits even higher. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep our inspiring community alive. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending. I want to hear from you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support.